Good afternoon, everyone. The President of the General Assembly, Philemon Yang, has now returned from the Doha Forum in the state of Qatar. While there, he engaged with global leaders and visionaries, delivered remarks at the opening and closing sessions, and underscored the importance of the Pact for the Future, a blueprint for reinvigorating multilateralism to address present and future challenges. With regard to the 10th Emergency Special Session of the General Assembly, it resumes tomorrow at 10 a.m. 21 statements were delivered last week, with 50 remaining on the Speaker's list. 2 resolutions are expected to be adopted tomorrow. And now we go to plenary meetings. Yesterday, a plenary meeting took place on strengthening of the coordination of humanitarian and disaster relief assistance of the United Nations, including special economic assistance. Today, there is a plenary meeting on oceans and the law of the sea. On Thursday, there will be a plenary meeting on the integrated and coordinated implementation of and follow-up to the outcomes of the major United Nations conferences and summits in the economic, social, and related fields. Just to state as well that the plenary meeting on the oceans and the law of the sea also continues on Thursday. Moving on to the main committees, the General Assembly adopted 65 texts last week. Among those 65 texts were 33 resolutions and 5 decisions by the 4th Committee, whose agenda items range from decolonization to atomic radiation to outer space. The 6th Committee sent 16 resolutions and 11 decisions to the General Assembly for adoption that address topics from laws to facilitate international trade to measures to enhance protection for victims of armed conflict. Appointments. The President of the General Assembly is pleased to appoint His Excellency Mr. Francois Jackman, Permanent Representative of Barbados to the United Nations, and Her Excellency Ms. Anna Johan Stuster, Permanent Representative of Iceland to the United Nations, as co-chairs of the open-ended informal consultative process on oceans and law of the seas. And lastly, today is Human Rights Day. The President of the General Assembly stresses that human dignity is inherent to the enjoyment of human rights. He adds that on Human Rights Day, we have to act now and mobilize action to reinvigorate a global movement for human rights, for a more peaceful, equal, and sustainable world. Very short, that's it from me. Are there any questions? Hi, Emily.
Thanks, Sharon. Sorry to be late. On the 10th emergency session resuming tomorrow, do you have any idea when the vote on the 2 draft resolution will be? Like in the beginning, at the end?
It should take place at the end because we still have about 50 speakers, but it is expected, the adoption is expected to take place at the end of the session. In the afternoon, yes. No problem. Hi, Gabrielle.
Thanks, Sharon. Just to follow up on that, is there going to be a time limit on the speakers that you know of?
No, there's no time limit, so it's just the usual practice.
And it'll start when?
It should start at 10 a.m.
And one other follow-up, just on Syria and the Credentials Committee. They would decide about potentially delisting HTS as a terrorist organization, correct? It would have to go
I wouldn't be able to speak on what the Credentials Committee can do, will do.
Right. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Any questions online? Okay, thank you so very much. And just to note that this will be my last briefing for the year unless we have to meet again. So I just want to wish everyone a great year coming up, and we hope it's a year of peace for all. Thanks a lot.